welcome on into another episode of Getting Wild with Terry and Friends. I'm Terry, that's Ryan, and we are ready to break down some Tuesday hockey. There's also basketball as well, and I have my first two basketball plays of the year. Well, I did have two previous, but like my first two official bets of the year. So glad to go over them. But we'll start the show as we usually do, and that is taking a look at the current show standings for everything. Baseball, obviously the same and won't change until maybe Friday. Obviously, the World Series will be coming up, so baseball will be pretty much the same going forward. NFL, um, profitable best bets, slightly under a dog of the day, going well and over under for NFL. Hockey, the only sport currently not profitable. Best bets, dog of the day off to rough starts, over under going well. Um, hey, it's time to own it. Minus 5 units, 3 and 8. Not happy with that whatsoever. But last year kind of started off slow with best bets, and it'll work itself out. Long season to go. So not hitting the panic button yet. Basketball, profitable all three categories. Basketball, not a whole lot of picks so far, but off to a pretty good start in the NBA. And then college football, pretty much the same. Profitable over under, slightly down in best bet and dog of the day. And then other sports, again, the same, pretty much profitable, except for dog of the day. But we will look at today's slate. We got a bunch of games here. And the first game of the slate is the Minnesota Wild and the Montreal Canadiens here. And I will get up the odds. So basically, I'll start off with if you've not followed Minnesota and Montreal, I'll get to that in a second, actually. So Minnesota minus 200 to minus 222. Montreal plus 165 to plus 180. 6.5s right across the board. There were sevens earlier, but now they're 6.5s in this one. Minnesota has played Montreal very well. 12-1 in the last 13 meetings overall. 5-1 in the last 6 in Montreal. They've also had 3 shutouts against Montreal on home ice in 3 of the last 4 games against Montreal. They've had success. The Wild have started off with a really tough schedule. I've said it before, but if you look at the teams they faced, other than the Canucks, who are in big trouble, but a lot of people are high on them to start the season, and then the Kings, who were a playoff team last year. Everyone else, Boston, Colorado, Rangers, are really, really good teams. Now they're facing Montreal, so this is finally a spot. This next few games the Wild have, they're obviously in Montreal, then they go to Ottawa, then they go to Detroit, and then they go to Chicago before heading home. The game I'm most worried about there is Detroit, but I like the spot for the Wild. They've played well against the Habs. Marc-Andre Fleury will be in the net today. I like him to have a good game. He looked really good. He's the only reason the Wild got a point against Boston. So people saying that Flower is washed, he is not washed. He had 2 really rough games. His stats are going to look rough for a while. But as someone who watches the Wild every game, he's looked much better in the last 2. Obviously, he's still allowing goals, but that's kind of been the luck factor. He's looked much better in the last 2. So I'm on Wild minus 1.5 in this one, plus 130. And I also have Frederick Gaudreau over half a point. Not only will he have a ton of family at the game for this one, because he is a Quebecer, but also he is on the top line with Kaprizov and Zuccarello, plus 125 for Gaudreau to get a point. I get it. He hasn't gotten a point yet this year in the 5 games. So that's basically the reason for that. But he's at home with a bunch of family and friends watching him, and he's on the top line with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. It's going to be hard for him not to get a point, in my view, playing with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. So plus 125, Gaudreau to get a point. Minnesota minus 1.5. I think the Wild's tough times are behind them, and the future is bright. So, Ryan, Wild, Montreal Canadiens. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite plays of the day, and it's because of the goals. I think there's going to be goals in this game. And what I did was I spent a good bit of time looking at last year's stats and trying to look at trends, both in overs and unders last year, as well as um, expected goals and things like those and those stats. And what I found is there's some outliers, and they're teams that put up a lot of goals and give up a lot of goals, and they're teams that are good defensively, and these teams are good to hitch your wagon to on overs and unders. And a team like last year is like Columbus, who scored a lot of goals and gave up a lot of goals, and that is what the Wild are doing this year. And they've got they're averaging 9 goals per game total, which is really high. And we don't know if this trend's going to continue, but I'm going to hitch my wagon to it, and I'm going to play the over on this game. And I'm going to look. I'm going to look at overs for the Wild for probably some time. And I think we can do better than 60% because we have the ability to pick and choose if there's a favorable goaltending matchup or a particular team. But I think this is a really good look on the over in this game at 6.5.
All right. Yeah, with the total for me, I'm really torn on the total because the Wild have obviously been going over so much. But with recent history and shutting out and Flurry and he's probably not going to get a shutout. I'm going to have a small flyer, a small little bet on Marc-Andre Fleury to get a shutout today, just because of the Wild's history in Montreal. But um, the way they've been playing this year, I totally can't. I totally see why you're taking the over. I just feel like they have to sometime like that they have to go under eventually, right? Like they can't keep allowing these goals all the time. So that's how I'm looking at it. But I totally get why you would want to take the over with the Wild right now and Montreal
Or they could
because
end
the
up
Wild
being
are
like they couldn't be like Florida last year, where Florida was always sevens. Like they were, for whatever reason, Florida got stuck with 7 totals because they had such a prolific offense.
yeah. Noel likes Wild 60-minute over 3.5 in the team total. That'll be better odds than the uh, normal team total. I'm not on it because I didn't really like the odds minus 130, I think, for Wild team total. T's and P's to your Wild Terry. Slow start out of the gate, hoping they can lock it in. Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Um, but yeah, we'll move on to the next game. Dallas and Boston in this one here. I was on Dallas last night. Speaking of last night, 0-3 night. It really sucks. Pittsburgh was up 2 goals. They blew that. Dallas was leading 1-0 right up until the end of the second period. They lost, and then obviously the Blues lost. So yesterday, bad day, but they're going to happen to everybody, and you can't dwell on it. You just got to move on. And that's what I'm doing here in this one. We have Dallas plus 130 to plus 138. Boston minus 150 to minus 160. Sixes. Oh, we see a 5.5. So 5.5 still exist in the NHL, apparently. Um, for me in this one, something stood out right away. And I was watching the Ice Guys earlier. Super happy that Alex B. Smith is on the same play as me. The draw. I think this game goes to overtime. Boston has went to overtime their last 2 games. Dallas, a heavy overtime team in the past. Both these teams playing well. It just seems like a close game here. Dallas is on the back to back, but they will have Ottinger in net. So I like this to be a close game, and I got the draw at plus 330 in this one. Obviously, a smaller half unit bet, but I think we get a close game and goes to overtime. Ryan, Stars, Bruins, what do you think of this one?
Well, I'm in the same position. I was on the Stars last night. Was disappointed in that third period. I think they probably win. Maybe they win that game with Ottinger in net. Who knows? And I'm trying to understand: are the Stars kind of at the top tier of the league, or are they kind of going to flounder in the middle? I'm a little bit disappointed because I thought I could back them on a regular basis, and I feel a little let down by their performance last night. So I'm going to stay off this one. I think Dallas probably wins this, and I lean under, but I'm staying off.
All right. We'll move on to the next one. Can't believe I'm about to say this. One of my favorite games of the night. We have the Arizona Coyotes and the Columbus Blue Jackets in this one. You can find the Coyotes plus 176 to plus 188. Arizona is, or sorry, Columbus is minus 213 to minus 227. 6.5s right across the board in this one. I got over 6.5 earlier in this game. I also have Columbus minus 1.5, a plus 120 in this game. And then I added Johnny Gaudreau over 1.5 points, plus 155 in this one. These two teams have gone over quite a bit this year. Um, Arizona's gone over 6.5 in 4 of their 5 games. Columbus has gone over 6.5 in 5 of their 7 games. Both meetings last year went over between these teams. Um, I like the over. And then Columbus, Patrick Laine is returning to the lineup tonight. In the quote from the head coach, he would not be playing if he was not 100% in this game. So Laine is 100% coming back here at home. They're facing the Coyotes. Um, give me Columbus puck line and give me the over. I think we get goals on both sides, but more from Columbus. Arizona's been losing games. They've lost 6-2 3 times and 6-3 once. I won't be surprised if we get a similar 6-2, 6-3 score in here in this one. So give me over. Give me Columbus minus 1.5 and Johnny Gaudreau over 1.5 points plus 155. I may also add Patrick Laine anytime goal after the show as well. I think he comes back with a bang in this one. Ryan, Coyotes, Blue Jackets. Shocking that it's one of my favorite games of the night, but I guess it happens. What do you think of this one?
Um, guess what? It's my favorite game of the night, and it's going to be my best bet. And what I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing, and that is there's 5 teams I'm looking at that both score a lot of goals and give up a lot of goals, and the Coyotes are one of them. In spite of having a pretty poor offense, they give up enough goals that they basically become an over eligible team most nights, and Columbus is going to be a willing participant in this type of game, and I just think this game screams over. I see the trends, and this is in the category of teams that will go over 60% of the time, and we can do better than 60%. And this is going to be, I just feel that there's a better than 60% chance of this over hits, so I'm on it as well, and it's my best bet.
All right. Awesome. And we'll move on along to the next game. We have the New Jersey Devils and the Detroit Red Wings in this one. You can find New Jersey minus 105 to minus 114. You can find Detroit minus 105 to minus 115. 6.5s at some spots, 7s at others. In this one here, yesterday, a lot of people I know were on the Devils against Washington. I stayed off just because of Washington's history against the Devils. Is basically like I look at that. I know a lot of people don't necessarily look at previous history between teams, but for me, it's something that does matter in my handicapping. So that's luckily what kept me off betting the Devils yesterday. But now it's an even worse spot for them than it was yesterday. Heading into Detroit, a team who is rested for this one. I did not see Vanacek confirmed yet. It will be Nedeljkovic for Detroit. I was kind of more hoping for Husso. I will be honest, but Vanacek already lost 5-2. He was in net when Detroit beat New Jersey 5-2. Detroit, without a regulation loss, has been playing really well all year long. And I think this is a good spot for them at home. They're also 4-1-1 in their last 6 games at home against New Jersey. So they've had recent success. And I look for Detroit to win this one at a pretty good price. I got them at minus 110. You can get them basically minus 105 to minus 110. So I would take them in that spot in this one. Ryan, Devils, Red Wings. What do you think here?
I was also on the Devils last night, and it wasn't so much a fade of Washington, but I saw good things in the Devils, and I think they're they're a team that they could outperform this year. And I was a little bit disappointed last night. They didn't take care of the puck very well last night at all. And but one thing I will say is that I like Mackenzie Blackwood better than Vitek Vanacek. I assume it's going to be Vanacek tonight. I think my opinion might be different than some others. So I'm not really high on the Devils' chances on this. The Red Wings have done well. They don't have any regulation losses, and but they haven't beaten quality opponents. So it's really hard to a little bit hard to back the Red Wings in my opinion. It's a little bit of a tough back-to-back spot for the Devils, but in the end, I'm laying off.
All right. You don't have to bet every game. And we'll move on along to the next one, which is probably everyone's game of the night. Tonight, we have the Colorado Avalanche and the New York Rangers. You can find Colorado minus 109 to minus 115. The Rangers are minus 104 to minus 109. So books are really aligned on the Rangers. 6.5. I do see sixes as well in this game. And when I looked at this, the stats here in this one, it's crazy how similar. So the teams have the same record. The starting goalies have basically the exact same stats, 3-0-1, basically the same goals against, save percentage, and the backups, both 0-2 with basically the same stats. So these two teams, it's really interesting how similar the goalie stats are. It will be I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden.
Georgiev?
Sorry?
Shesterkin? Georgiev?
Yeah. It's Georgiev for Colorado. Nobody has been confirmed yet for the Rangers. And that's something that I've made a rule for myself. I will not be putting money on the Rangers until I see confirmed for Shesterkin. I'm not playing that game that we played last year with the Rangers. Just don't show up for their backups, and Halak is not somebody I want to put my money on. So obviously, I do expect it should definitely be Shesterkin, but I will not be putting any money on the Rangers until I see that confirmed. That's just my rule now. But I do like the Rangers in this one. After two disappointing home losses, I think they come back here and get a good win against the Cup champs. But I need to see Shesterkin confirmed. Ryan, Avalanche Rangers. What do you think of this one?
Um, yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong. If it's Shesterkin against Georgiev, they're former teammates, right? So this could be kind of
Yeah.
a big deal matchup and be a lot at stake, sort of like, personal. This could be sort of a grudge match, and could end up being a really tight defensive game. Um, I was high on the Rangers. Probably saw the same thing other folks saw. It looked like they were on their way to starting the season of a Stanley Cup run, and now they've had all these disappointing. They lost at home to Columbus and San Jose, but they've been winning again with Shesterkin, and I suspect it'll be him. And I suspect they'll win again tonight. But I'm not on this. I think it's a tough game to cap, but I would lean under, thinking that this is going to be a big time goalie, grudge match, and I lean Rangers in this.
All right. And we'll move on along to the next one here. The Florida Panthers and the Chicago Blackhawks. In this one, you can get Florida minus 233 to minus 263. Chicago plus 190, plus 211, 6.5s right across the board in this one. And I do have Florida money line on a parlay, so we've went through all three games, so I'll give it out on this one. Minnesota, Columbus, and Florida, all on the money line, which was plus 218 for tonight. So that is my parlay of the day. But I'm not rushing to take the puck line here for Florida against Chicago. Chicago's been winning games lately, especially at home here. But I think this is a good opponent. for Florida. I think Chicago is winning games, but I don't necessarily think that's going to continue very much longer. So I do like Florida, but I'm only taking them on the money line. I'm not going crazy on this. Um, on the puck line, you're looking at minus 104 to plus 105. So not the value I want here in this spot. Ryan, Panthers, Blackhawks. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, no thoughts on this game. Yeah, I agree. I think Florida probably wins, but I don't want to have a strong feeling either way. I think Florida is probably better than their record suggests.
Yeah. Well, their record's pretty good. I think they're 4-1-1 so far.
Oh, okay.
Um,
You know,
yeah, but yeah, they've played very well so far, and the Blackhawks are worse than their record shows. I think that's true. Ice X Ice Kitty Cats first period minus a half. Florida to come out strong in the first. Um, I like it. Next up, BetStamp. Use code WILD in the referral code section. Um, download BetStamp. It's a free app. You can track your plays there. You can find my plays, other people on the show's plays there as well, and you can get the best odds for whatever you are betting. So make sure to get BetStamp and use code WILD in the referral code section. Moving on to the next game, the Penguins, my best bet yesterday, which tragically blew their lead to Edmonton, are now on a back-to-back and facing Calgary. So a horrible spot for Pittsburgh in this one. You can find them anywhere from plus 143 to plus 155. Calgary is minus 167 to minus 185. 6.5s right across the board in this one. And this game is a pass. So one of the few games on today's slate that I don't have anything in. I like Calgary to win this game, but I am obviously not betting minus 167 as a single bet. I would never do that. I could put them in a parlay maybe, but this game I just decided it would be a good game to stay off. So Ryan, Penguins, Flames. What do you think here?
I have not gotten to betting this game, but I suspect I'll be on the Flames. Markstrom hasn't lost yet this year. And this is a tough back-to-back spot for Pittsburgh, so I suspect I'll be on the Flames in regulation ultimately. Um, these back-to-backs at one time this season, like back-to-backs were not going well for teams, and you could just basically fade teams on the back-to-back. But now there are teams that are performing better, and you are seeing teams win in this spot. So, I'm not auto fading the back-to-back issue, but I think this helps the Flames. And Markstrom is still unbeaten, so I'm going to be riding the Flames. I think they're one of the elite teams, and I think they're on a given night they're a team you can back.
All right. We'll move on along to one of my other favorite games of the night. And I wasn't sure because both of these teams are teams that I kind of want to back at the moment. But you can get Buffalo anywhere from plus 108 or plus 105 to plus 117. Seattle minus 125 to minus 137. 6.5s right across the board in this one here. The Kraken are at home. The Kraken did beat Buffalo both meetings last year, but that is about all that the Kraken have an advantage in this one. In my opinion, Buffalo is finding ways to win games. Their goaltenders are stopping pucks they need to. It does look like it is going to be Martin Jones playing again in this one. I'm not sure if there's an injury with the main goalie, but I don't know why Jones will be playing again.
Yeah, Grubauer's on injured reserve now. Yeah.
Grubauer, okay. Well, yeah, so that makes sense. But Martin Jones playing again. Sabres are beating good teams. They're beating bad teams. I just I don't see why Buffalo should be the underdog in this one. I get it, Seattle's at home, but I like the Sabres here, which I got at plus 118. And then I have Buffalo team total over 3.5. which is plus 125. I like the Sabres to score over 4 goals and to get plus 125 for that against Martin Jones. I like it. So Sabres money line and Sabres team total over 3.5 for me in this one. We'll probably get to props in some kind of fashion as well. Alex Tuck to score, something with Darlene. We'll be probably taking those. Maybe look at some power play props as well after the show. But yeah, looking at the Sabres, you want to look at Tuck and Darlene right now, in my opinion. Ryan, Sabres, Kraken. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, I try to put a firewall up with my team, the Kraken, and I don't like to bet, against them or with them. So I'll be watching, but as a fan, um, yeah, I think that one of the weaknesses of the Kraken is that their goaltending, and getting their best goaltender injured is going to be a little bit of a disaster. And they're getting a ton of respect on from the bookmakers. Like they're was it minus 120 or minus 130 favorites against the Sabers. This is a team that was basically rarely favored at all last year, and now they're not playing great right now, and they're favored. And I think it's an odd line. And if you want to bet the under, you've got cojones in this game. With Martin Jones in net, the Kraken, their strength is they create a lot of chances and they put a lot of pucks on net. We saw them put 23 shots on goal against the Kings in one period. Like they're just they just generate this offense. I think that over 3.5 with the Sabres is a good look. I wouldn't talk you off that at all, and especially with Martin Jones in that. Comrie's been playing well, so I could easily see 7, 8, 9 goals in this game. But Comrie's is been doing well. I think this is a really weird looking line. With the Sabres just winning night after night, and they're dogs in this matchup. It just seems odd to me. In a different spot, I would jump all over this, but I'm gonna lay off.
All right. We will move on along to the final 2 games of the night. First, we have Vegas and San Jose, big rivals for people that don't know. Obviously, the playoff series and then and regular season games, a big rivalry here with Vegas and San Jose. You can get Vegas minus 162 to minus 180, San Jose plus 140 to plus 160, sixes and 6.5s in this one. Vegas on a back-to-back now after playing Toronto yesterday, now in San Jose. A game I'm ultimately passing on. I think Vegas wins, but there's nothing that really stands out for me here. I don't really want to take the puck line on a back-to-back here, but I definitely won't have any bets towards the Sharks in this one. So ultimately a pass. Ryan? Golden Knights, Sharks. What do you think here?
No, my inclination is under in this game, and the Sharks are this outlier of teams that really they're good defensively and they don't score goals, so they're really an under team. I get paused because the Golden Knights are starting their backup, Aiden Hill, so who knows what this guy's going to do. The Knights are on a back to back. I think they probably win, but I think this is an underplay.
All right. We'll move on along to the final hockey game of the night. Then we'll get to other picks, and then we'll get to the best bet segment. We have Tampa Bay and the LA Kings in this one. Let me bring it up here. You can get a Tampa Bay minus 129 to minus 140. LA is plus 110 to plus 122. I see a 6 in this one and 6.5s available. I don't know why we see a 6 at minus 120. That's what I've been leaning with towards this game, is taking the over. LA has gone over in all of their games except one. That finished 4-1. But even that game against Washington, I was on the over, and it was 2-0 LA, and I was thinking, okay, my over's done. And then before you know it, the game soars over, and it's like, wow. So this LA Kings team is finding ways to give up goals or score goals. They are an over team. Tampa Bay on the other side, they've gone over in half their games. Two of the three that they did go over, Elliott was in net. And it does look like it will be Vasilevsky in this one. So that's the only thing that's keeping me off the over. Vasilevsky being in net. So ultimately, this game is a pass for me. But I want to take the over. Maybe I'll look at Tampa team total. But I don't know. At this moment, it's a pass for me. Ryan, Lightning, Kings. What do you think here?
Also a pass for me. And I don't like betting overs on Vasilevsky. His numbers aren't that great this year, but he's a good goalie, and he can play as well as anyone in the league. So I'm not on it. I lean Lightning here. I think sometimes these home spots after long road trips don't go well, but I lean Lightning, but I'm staying off.
All right. We will go on along to other picks and any other sports on the slate today. And I do have two NBA picks for today. There was a little bit of me and Tim are going against each other here in this one. Basically, he likes to fade the injury report. So when a player goes out, you don't take the other team. You kind of stick with the team that the player is out. Uh, and I looked at it. Obviously, the New Orleans Pelicans will have their best two players out for this game, Ingram and Zion. Um, and Dallas has won in New Orleans for their last 5 games. They have won in New Orleans, and they've covered 6.5 spread in all 4 wins. A couple of the wins double digit spreads as well. So for me, Dallas Mavericks -5.5, which I got at -107. And I also took Luka Doncic over 30.5 points for -115. He's got over 30 points in both games so far. So I think he does that again here against Dallas or against New Orleans, who have a lot of injuries in this one. But other than that, 4 game slate for NBA, so nothing else for me. I'll be very low volume in the NBA when I do play it this year. Ryan, any other sports and any other picks that you want to give out?
Not today, just NHL for me.
Right. Now we will go to the best bet segment here, and we'll start with over under, as we usually do here. And I do have one to type in, so you will have to bear with me here. Bryant is going with Warriors and Suns over whatever the points are, which I will find. For me today, Buffalo team total over 3.5 +125. Nick is going with Minnesota and Montreal over 6.5. Tim is going with the New Orleans Pelicans team total over 106.5. Bryant, as I said, Golden State, Phoenix over whatever the points are. IceX is going with Dallas, Boston under 6. Will is going with Florida and Chicago under 6.5. Ryan, is there a total you like today?
I have the same as Nick.
Minnesota, Montreal over.
Yes.
Right.
And that's getting juice. It's up to -120 now, I believe.
All right. Yeah, I will put the odds in after the show. Looking at dog of the day for today. For me, it's Buffalo Sabres +117. Nick is going with the Chicago Blackhawks. Tim is going with the New Orleans Pelicans. Occupancy is going to take the Dallas Stars. IceX is going to take the LA Kings. Will is also going to take the Buffalo Sabres. I guess they're +120 now, which looks great. Ryan, is there a dog for you today?
No dog for me.
All right. And then we will go on to best bets. And Brian is taking the Colorado Rangers under, which I think is 6.5. I've not decided mine yet. I'm leaving it to last minute here. Nick is going with Seattle Kraken team total over 3.5. Tim is going with the New York Rangers -1.5. Occupancy and IceX both taking Minnesota -1.5. Bryant is going with, as I said, Colorado Rangers under 6.5. Will is going with Vegas, San Jose under 6.5. Ryan, what do you think here today for best bet?
Yeah, it's going to be Arizona Columbus over 6.5.
Arizona Columbus over 6.5. See, that's where I'm leaning to too. I just don't know. I don't know. I can't make up my mind today. I might be overthinking it a bit. Let's see. Let's see. I cannot make up my mind today for best bet. I'm not going with the Sabres on all three. Ah, I'm not going to take the Wild -1.5. I'm going to take Columbus. Columbus Blue Jackets -1.5. I think Line A returning to the lineup is going to help them today, and that is +120. And that is today's show. IceX is happy. Occupancy is on the Wild puck line with him. I'm not going to do it. I was tempted, obviously, but I'm not going to do it here. I'll take Columbus. But that is today's show. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the content, smash the like button. And we appreciate all the support. And we'll see you again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow's show will probably be pretty short with only 3 hockey games. But we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode. Getting Wild with Terry and friends. Best of luck, guys.